Android 17 is here in the way Android usually arrives first, as a beta that is close enough to review, but still not something I would call final stable on every phone. As of Tuesday, May 12, 2026, Google's official Android 17 docs show Beta 4 as the last scheduled beta, released on April 16th. That means the platform is basically in the final testing lane, and developers should already be checking compatibility and publishing updates. So this review is not about pretending every Pixel owner should rush in blind. It is about what Android 17 actually changes, who should care, and whether this update feels like a real step forward. My short take: Android 17 is boring in the best way. It is not a giant visual reboot. It is a stability, privacy, media, desktop, and large-screen release. The headline features are not all loud, but a lot of them point toward where Android is going next. The first thing to understand is the timeline. Android 17 Beta 1 arrived on February 13, 2026. Beta 3 reached platform stability on March 26, which matters because the API surface and behaviors are locked for app developers. Then Beta 4 arrived on April 16th as the last scheduled beta. In plain English, this is the point where Google is telling developers to finish compatibility testing, update SDKs, and get Android 17-ready apps into the Play Store. That does not make it the same as a stable over-the-air update for everyone. Betas can still have bugs, device-specific issues, and odd behavior, but it does make Android 17 mature enough to judge the direction. The direction is clear: fewer giant surprises, more system refinement, and more pressure on apps to behave well across phones, tablets, desktop mode, external displays, and modern privacy expectations. The best features in Android 17 are the ones that sound small until you use them every day. Screen recording gets a redesigned floating toolbar that improves controls and capture settings, and the toolbar is excluded from the final video. That is a creator-friendly change because it means cleaner tutorials, bug reports, walkthroughs, and app demos. Desktop interactive picture-in-picture is also important. Apps can request a pinned windowing layer in desktop mode on external displays, which makes Android feel more serious as a workstation environment. It is not just phone software anymore. Android has to work on foldables, tablets, docks, monitors, and whatever hybrid setups users build next. Camera and media also get meaningful developer upgrades, including RAW 14 support for professional camera apps and photo picker customization for better layouts. None of this screams at you from the lock screen, but it makes Android a better platform for people who create, multitask, and use their phone as more than a message machine. Privacy and security are where Android 17 starts to look more interesting than the feature list suggests. The system-provided location button is a smart idea. Apps can use a secure system-rendered button that grants precise location for the current session. That is better than forcing users into broad permissions for one-time actions. Android 17 also separates password visibility behavior between touch input and physical keyboards, which is one of those practical details that only becomes obvious after people actually use devices in different ways. Then there is post-quantum cryptography, hybrid signing through the version 3.2 APK signature scheme. Most users will never talk about that at dinner, and honestly, good for them. But it matters because app signing is trust infrastructure. Google is preparing Android for a future where classical cryptography needs backup from newer standards. This is the kind of security work that does not sell phones by itself, but it makes the platform healthier. The biggest strategic change may be large screens. Android 17 removes the developer opt-out for orientation and resizability restrictions on large-screen devices above the documented width threshold. That is Google saying the old phone-only app mindset is not enough anymore. If your app looks strange on a tablet, foldable, Chromebook-like setup, desktop mode, or external display, Android 17 is less willing to protect you from that reality. Widget support also improves across displays with different pixel densities, and bubbles are more fully enabled after earlier beta work. This matters because Android's future is not only slab phones. It is foldables, tablets, car screens, watches, external monitors, and desktop-like setups. A platform that adapts well can compete in more places. A platform where apps break the moment the screen shape changes feels old. So yes, this section is developer-heavy, but users will feel the result when apps stop behaving like they are trapped in 2014. The stability story is mixed, but in a normal beta way. Beta 4 includes fixes for serious issues, device freezes, spontaneous restarts, media control problems, Bluetooth issues, display glitches, charging behavior near the 80% battery limit, and multiple system UI problems. That is good news, but it is also a reminder of what beta software is. A release note full of fixes means progress, not perfection. Android 17 also introduces conservative app memory limits to improve system stability. If an app is killed by those limits, developers can identify that with an application exit info description that points to the memory limiter. For users, the ideal result is fewer runaway app problems and a steadier phone. For developers, the message is clear: test your app now, because the system is becoming less tolerant of behavior that hurts stability. My recommendation is simple. If this is your only phone and you need it for work, banking, travel, or family logistics, wait for stable. If you have a test Pixel or you enjoy beta life, Android 17 is mature enough to explore. So who should install Android 17 right now? Developers should already be testing, especially if they maintain an SDK, library, tool, game engine, camera app, VPN app, widget, or anything that touches media, location, large screens, or background audio. Creators and power users may be tempted because the screen recording, desktop, picture-in-picture, and media improvements are useful. But regular users should be more patient. If your phone is boringly reliable today, do not break that just to say you were early. Android betas are better than they used to be, but they are still betas. Battery behavior, Bluetooth, banking apps, launchers, accessibility workflows, car connections, and device-specific features can still surprise you. The smart move is to wait for the stable rollout unless you have a backup plan. The review score for Android 17 is high for direction and platform maturity, but the install recommendation is conditional. Try it if you test software. Wait if you just need your phone to behave. Final verdict. Android 17 is not the update you install for one giant visual change. It is the update you appreciate because Android is becoming a more mature platform. The good, better creator tools, more serious camera and media support, stronger privacy patterns, future-looking security, improved large-screen behavior, and stability work that should help the ecosystem over time. The bad. The most important changes are not always visible, and beta status still means you should be careful on a mission-critical phone. The biggest takeaway is that Google is pushing Android beyond the old phone app box. Apps need to adapt to more screens, more input methods, more privacy expectations, and more desktop-like workflows. That is good for users, even if it creates homework for developers. My review score for Android 17 beta is 8 out of 10 for direction, 7 out of 10 for immediate excitement, and wait for stable for most normal users. If you want Android coverage with receipts instead of rumor soup, subscribe to UGTP, like the video, and comment with your phone model and whether you are installing now or waiting for stable.